ma'am.
Dana, Dana, Dana was removed. Data lang po ako, ma'am. Okay lang kung ano. Okay lang kung hindi makapag-on cam. Sige na, start na tayo. On cam, off ng mic. So, yan. Okay, hello class. So today, we're going to be discussing something. Yung theory or yung dominant approach na i-discuss natin is medyo ano ngayon, medyo how do we say serious. So I
Ayaw
would like
mag-on cam.
wait,
Oo.
i-mute mo na kita, Crystalline, ha.
Ay,
Ayan. So, medyo serious po yung ating topic. So, I would suggest na medyo let's keep an open mind and let's be mature about the subjects that we're going to discuss today. So, hindi naman siya super extreme, but we are going to talk about sex and gender and the act of sex. So, ano lang tayo. Let's just keep an open mind. Okay? Baka yung mga boys dyan biglang mabuhay mamaya, ha? Kapag ano na, doon na tayo sa part ng sex. Okay? Oh, yung mga anuhan nyo na yan eh. Kung live class to, kung face-to-face class to, feeling ko nagbubungis-ngisa na yung iba dyan. Okay? So let's just be mature kasi kung hindi kayo mature, baka mamaya matawarin ako. Tandaan nyo, recorded ito. Baka mapanood ng mga cohorts natin. Mahirap na. So, let's keep an open mind. So, tapos na po tayo sa dominant approaches, part 1. Nasa dominant approaches, part 2 na po tayo. At ang first dominant approach po na pag-aaralan natin is the feminist theory. Okay. So ma'am, bakit po nag-disclaimer ka na medyo serious or medyo mature? Kasi in feminist theory, we talk about sex, gender, the act of sex, and sexuality. So we're going to talk about that today. We are talking about this in strictly in an academic way. Okay. I will try not to be opinionated about too much about in this subject because there are subjects about this that are that do not conform to certain beliefs of certain people. So para hindi tayo maka-offend, we're just going to discuss this in an academic way. So, pag-usapan po natin the difference between the terms sex, gender, and sexual orientation. When we say sex, these are the bits I'm born with. When we say the bits you're born with, and I'm using these as technical terms, these are whether you are born with a penis or a vagina. Okay? Kung meron po kayong male or female reproductive parts, yun po ang sex. So, um, kung ano yung parts nyo nung pinanganak kayo, yun po ang sex, okay? Hindi po to yung act, okay? Ito lang po yung a concept of sex. Next is gender. Okay? Gender is self-identity. Some people identify as a guy or girl or someone else. This is where we get sometimes uh, the the concept of gender fluidity, kung saan hindi siya nagko-conform as a guy, hindi rin siya nagko-conform as a girl. Pwedeng your sex is male but your gender identity or your gender is female, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Um, walang mali doon. So kung kayo po ay uh, gender non-conforming, when we say we are gender non-conforming, we do not conform to the sex that we were born with. Okay? So tandaan, sex has something to do with the body parts or the sexual unicorn, okay, or the sex organs that we were born with, and gender has something to do with our self-identity. Sexual orientation, on the other hand, is who we are attracted to, both romantically and sexually. Okay, so of course, we have lesbians, gays, bisexuals, okay, LGBTQIA. We also have asexual, those people who are not sexually attracted to people, who can fall in love but are not sexually attracted to other people. So that's as part of sexual orientation. So today, the reason why I discussed this today is we're going to be using certain some of these terms or all of these terms and I don't want you to be confused. Basta when we are talking about sex, we are talking unless I say that it's sex as the act, okay? When we are talking about sex, it's about the biological. Yun yung term na iniisip ko kanina. It is the biological aspect uh, of you. O if you were born with male body parts or female body parts. And when we say gender, it is the identity or how you identify, whether male or female. Okay? So, pag sexual orientation, of course, who you are attracted to. So let's go. The feminist theory or feminism is the support of equality for men and women. So there is a misconception. When we say misconception, misinformation or a wrong, incorrect thought or thinking that feminism means just that kapag sinabing feminism ay gusto ng mga babae makalamang sila sa mga lalaki. But in reality, it promotes equality. Why? Because our society, unfortunately, is a patriarchal society. When we say patriarchal society, we are mostly led and we are mostly dominated by men. Okay? Now, instead, in an ideal world, in a feminist world, we can be an egalitarian society. Okay, egalitarian societies are when both men, women, and all genders can rule and dominate together. So talagang may total equality. So, unfortunately now, hindi pa masyadong equal, sexism still exists. Kung subscribe po, nag-plug ng YouTube channel. Kung napanood niyo po yung isa sa mga videos ko on my YouTube channel where I reacted to sexist tweets, those were taken not less than 5 years ago. So sexism still exists, and we are still fighting the good fight for feminism. So yan po ang definition ng feminist theory. So meron pong 4 basic principles ang feminism. So first is working to increase equality. So again, we're not working to increase women above men. We are just trying to be equal to men, okay? Explaining or expanding human choice. Right now, there are certain parts of the world where women have less choices than men, and some men have less choices than women. So, a basic principle of feminism is bigyan tayo ng choices over where to live, how to basic choices like where to live, what to eat, even who to marry. There are still places in the world like India and some parts of Africa na hindi nakakapili, na arranged pa rin yung marriage kasi yung tatay ang pumipili kung sino ang mapapangasawa ni anak na babae. So we're trying to expand human choice. Another is eliminating gender stratification. When we say stratification, this is the division or classification of people or things according to a certain characteristic. So, segregation is another term for stratification is segregation. 'Di ba pag sa basura ganon sinesegregate, pinaghihiwalay. So, we're trying to eliminate that. Okay? We're trying to eliminate or gusto nating tanggalin yung concept na iba ang babae sa lalaki. Na although they are both different, in some ways, but they are equal in many ways. Okay? Or they are equal in every aspect. Okay. So, gusto nating i-eliminate yan, yung segregation between these genders or between genders. And next is ending sexual violence and promoting sexual freedom. Of course, sexual violence here is sexual harassment. Of course, the common term here is rape, trigger warning. Of course, in a feminist world, rape or of both men and women, I take note, both men and women can be raped, both men and women can be sexually harassed. So it's important for us to it's important for feminists or the feminist theory to end these sexual violences or these acts of sexual violence. And of course, we need to promote sexual freedom, meaning women and men and all genders can be free about who they are, their sex, their sexuality, their gender, and be sexual without being guilty. Ngayon kasi, especially here in the Philippines, we have a very conservative culture. It's hard to, sexual freedom is hard to come by. Okay? Mahirap ma-achieve ang sexual freedom sa mga conservative cultures. So, ending sexual violence and promoting sexual freedom. When we say sexual freedom, hindi naman yung point na ano to the point na sa isang gabi limang partners or whatever. Although kung yun ang ano kung yun ang gusto ng ibang tao, why not? Pero ang when we say sexual freedom, having the choice of who and when and where to be sexual. Yon. Sabi ko sa inyo, mahirap i-discuss to. In an academic way, ha? In an academic. Okay. So again, another thing to note about feminism is the differences between women. How race, class, ethnicity, sexuality, nationality, and age intersect with gender. Just like everybody else, women are different. They come in all shapes and sizes. Iba-iba po tayo. Although ako babae, iba ako sa nanay ko, ang nanay ko iba sa nanay niya, iba kami sa mga kapitbahay naming babae. So women aren't just women, they are human beings with different races, classes, ethnicities, sexualities, um, nationalities, and ages. So paano yun feminism or the feminist theory is also concerned about how those things intersect or interact with gender. Paano nagkakaiba yon? So we see here, di daw makakapasok si Wayne nun tsaka Raven. Ma'am, di daw makakapasok si Wayne. Okay, sige. Pakisabi noted ka mo. Okay. There are four main concerns. Okay, four main concerns of the feminist theory. But first, let's look at some other concerns. Okay, so hindi pa ito yung four main concerns. Ito lang po ay mga concern din. So first is of course give a voice to women. So when we are giving, of course, kaya nga po feminism ang feminism first emerged when, of course, feminism has been around for a long time. Pero some notable instances of feminism is when women wanted to vote. Dati kasi hindi tayo nakakaboto. Dito nga sa Pilipinas, ang tagal bago tayo nakapag-aral. Kung hindi pala laban ng mga dalaga ng malolos, hindi tayo makakapag-aral noon. So, isa yung instance ng feminism. Although hindi ko alam kung feminism na ang tawag nila doon, isa yun sa mga instance ng historical instances of feminism sa mundo or sa country natin. So, giving voice to women. Okay, so we have voices both in giving us voices not just in the home, not just in the classroom, but also in politics, in the media, in all walks of society. Okay? Okay lang iyan. Sige. And next, another thing we are concerned with, or feminists are concerned with, is highlighting the various ways women have contributed to society. Okay? So it's not just, Crystalline, pamuyot ng mic mo. It's not just how we are given a voice, or it's not just giving us a voice as women. It's highlighting how we have contributed to society, because a lot of women have contributed to society, especially Filipino women. Okay? So, uh, syempre may mga Filipino heroes tayo or mga national heroes tayo na babae. Si Gabriela Silang, si Tandang Sora. Uh, our country was one of the first Asian countries to have female leaders like Cory Aquino and Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So let's in feminism we are trying to highlight or recognize the ways these women have contributed to our society. Kung paano sila nakatulong sa society natin. Okay? So, here are the major concerns of feminist theory: gender differences, gender inequality, gender oppression, and structural oppression. So let's go with gender differences. Examines how women's location in location in and experience of social situations differ from men. Okay, paano daw nagkakaiba ang location in and experience of yung ano mga experience natin sa social situations, paano yung nagkakaiba sa mga social situations ng mga lalaki. Okay? So for example, catcalling. It is very rare that a man is catcalled in the streets. Okay? Di pa di pa din po. Hindi naririnig ni Crystalline. Wala. Ano na, restart mo yung yung exit mo, tapos clear mo yung restart mo, tapos balik ka na lang. Okay. So where were we? Saan ba tayo? When we say yan, gender differences. So, iba po yung experiences ng social experiences ng men sa women. So, ini-examine natin yun dito sa feminist theory. Kung paano sila nagkaka-iba. Next. For example, different roles assigned. For example, to men and women within institutions. So, sexual division of labor. So under yan ang gender differences. So, ayan, ang babae, yan, housework. So, yan yung mga different roles natin. Ang babae, they are traditionally seen as the homemakers. Okay? Homemakers, yung mga gumagawa, yung mga housewife, ganyan, di ba? Kapag, I remember when I was going off to college, ma'am, ako rin po, wala po load, sabi ni JP. Okay. Sige, I'll note that. Basta, panoorin ka mo nila yung video lesson. So, back. Now, here, in the assigned roles, I remember when I was going off to college, ang sabi sa akin ng isa sa mga tiyahin ko, babae ka naman, maghanap ka na lang ng mapapangasawa. So, yun na lang ba ang silbi ko? Maghanap na lang ng mapapangasawa? Maging housewife na lang? So, isa yun sa mga gender differences. Kasi kung yung kapatid ko, yung kuya ko, ang sabi niya, nung magka-college yung kuya ko, ang sabi niya, pagbutihan mo yung pag-aaral mo para kapag nagkaasawa ka, maganda ang trabaho mo. Okay? So, same situation about pa rin sa pag-aasawa, pero iba yung suggestion. Bakit? Kasi babae daw ako. Kasi ako daw yung mas kailangan ako daw yung mas kailangan mag-aral, magluto, maglaba, mamalansya, okay? Marunong po ako ng lahat nun. Okay? In my opinion, lahat po kailangan matutong magluto, mamalansya, maglaba. Kasi hindi ka masasave ng feminism at ng sexism kapag nagugutom at madumi ka na. So, babae or lalaki, kailangan matutong maglaba, mamalansya, lahat. Okay? Next, gender inequality. Recognize that women's location and experience of social situations are not only different but also unequal to men. Okay? So minsan daw po may mga situations na hindi talaga equal. So, a lot of social situations, especially since patriarchal nga po ang society natin, unequal ang tingin sa men at women. Okay? So, that's gender inequality. So, ayan. Men are unequal to women. So here, under gender inequality is liberal feminism, which feminists, okay, they argue that women, or they believe that women have the same capacity as men for moral reasoning and agency. Okay? Ganun daw, equal lang daw ang mga babae at mga lalaki pagdating sa reasoning and moral reasoning and agency, or when sa pag-iisip, equal lang din daw tayo. And maraming nagsasabi na hindi, mas ma-reasoning ang lalaki kasi mas analytic yung brains nila. But the liberal feminists believe that we are all equal. Okay. So ayan, gender inequality. Conflict for liberal Okay. Ang conflict daw po ng liberal feminist or ng feminist is the patriarchy. Ayan nga. The patriarchy is when men are dominant in the society. Okay? Kaya nga patriarchy. Mga patriarch o mga tatay o mga lalaki. So ayan, so makikita natin dito si nanay naka-apron, homemaker, ganyan-ganyan. Si tatay siya yung siya yung mukhang professional. Siya yung nagtatrabaho para sa pamilya. Okay? So ayan. So under gender inequality, marriage is a site for gender inequality. So not all marriages, of course, but back in the 1950s, 1960s, even as late as the 1990s, it's seen that marriage is a way for women to suffer under the patriarchy. Okay? So, yun nga, maraming babae na kinakasal, and then kapag kinasal sila, their husbands or their husbands demand for them to leave their careers, to leave their studies, to just to be a housewife. So isa yun sa mga conflicts ng gender inequality, or isa sa mga examples ng gender inequality. Women are expected to operate in the private sphere. So pag sinabing private sphere, the home. Okay? Tayo daw po ay pangbahay lamang. Siyempre mali yun. Lahat ng tao ay may potential to be professionals. Okay? Hindi lang po, ayan. So, isang common sight, many Filipino women sometimes ganito. So, hawak si baby, kausap si asawa sa phone, nagluluto pa. So, very, this is the, sabi this is the ideal 1950s housewife. So, gender inequality po yan. Kasi, bakit si babae lang ang busy? Bakit hindi yung tatay ang mag-alaga dun sa bata habang nagluluto si nanay? Kasi nagtatrabaho si tatay. Ganon. Okay? So, gender inequality po yan. Feminists believe that everyone should have a chance to both be a homemaker and be a breadwinner. So, liberal feminists said that sexual division of labor is in both public and private spheres and needs to be altered in order for women to achieve equality. So sexual division of labor daw, ito po ay nasa lahat. It is everywhere in our society at kailangan daw po mag-iba ang thought na ito para tayo po ay magkaroon ng equality. By the way, when we say sexual division of labor, yan yung mga pinapakita ko kanina na ang babae pang bahay, ang lalaki pang trabaho. So ayan, so yung mga nanay nga naman, so ang dami ng responsibility. Gender oppression, number 3. When we say oppression or gender oppression, argues that not only are women different from or unequal to men, but they are actively oppressed, subordinated, and abused by men. Ito medyo radical na to in thinking, pero it still exists today in some parts of the world and even in some parts of our country. Many women are actively oppressed, subordinated, and abused by men. That's what we mean when we say gender oppression. Okay? So, under gender oppression, ayan. So, si babae, tinatakpan yung bibig niya. Bakit pinapatahimik siya? They are actively oppressing this woman from expressing herself. So, yan. This is, by the way, a picture of, parang dinidepict nito is yung babae ay rape victim. Kasi sa India marami pong mga rape victim and then binivictim shaming siya. Ayan, so did you provoke him? Did you scream? What were you wearing? Yan. So binivictim shaming si babae. So isa po yun sa mga examples of gender oppression na si babae na yung na-rape, si babae na yung may kasalanan, siya pa yung sinisisi. An example of this, a recent example of this is yung kay Tulfo, yung kung hindi daw ganun magsuot ang mga babae, hindi sila mare-rape. Bakit? Ang dami ko nang nakitang, bakit? Yung baby, kasalanan niya na ganun yung suot niya, may mga baby na na-rape, di ba? So, hindi yan sa suot, hindi yan sa kung yung babae man ay nang akit, hindi yan sa kung yung babae man ay
Kung manya ka talaga.
Kung manya ka talaga. Kung rapist ka talaga. It is a matter of, it is not a matter of what the victim did. It is a matter of what the rapist did. Okay? So, yan po isa po yan sa examples of gender oppression. Na siya na yung biktima, siya pa yung sinisisi. Another. Okay, so in gender oppression, okay, there under it is power. Power, key variable in two main theories of gender oppression. So meron tayong two main theories of gender oppression. It's psychoanalytic feminism and radical feminism. Pag-uusapan po natin yan later. So, for example, again, so psychoanalytic feminism attempts to explain power relations between men and women by reformulating Freud's theories of subconscious and unconscious human emotions and childhood development. So, may kinalaman daw po ang childhood development kung bakit may difference or may power relations between men and women. Why men think they are more powerful than women. Okay? So, may kinalaman daw po ang childhood development. So, radical feminism argue that being a woman is a positive thing in itself, but it is not acknowledged in patriarchal societies where women are oppressed. Okay? So, sabi ng radical feminism, they argue that being a woman is a positive thing, which is true naman. Okay? Being a woman is a positive thing. So, gender oppression. Under din ng is physical violence as being based off patriarchy. Kaya daw nag-exist ang violence, sabi ng mga radical feminists, kaya daw nag-exist ang violence kasi dahil sa patriarchy. Mga lalaki daw po ang nagsimula ng violence according to radical feminism. Okay. Gender oppression. Patriarchy can be, sabi ng sa gender oppression, patriarchy can be defeated if, matatalo daw natin ang patriarchy if women recognize their own value and strength. Okay? Do you recognize your own value and strength as women, as the female of the species? Nasira yung jacket ko. Wait lang. Okay. Okay. Yun na nga po. So, and establish a sisterhood of trust with other women. A lot of women I know personally, mga kapitbahay namin, ganun, mga tiyahin ko, very very antagonistic or very against sila sa kapwa nila babae. Marami silang comments, marami silang chika tungkol sa isa't isa, but in reality, we should be supporting each other. 'di ba? For example, kapag may na-achieve yung isa nating kapwa babae, let's support them. Also the guys, okay? Kailangan i-support niyo rin yung mga babae na nakaka-achieve or nakakalamang sa atin. Okay lang 'yan. Hindi naman karera ang buhay. Huwag tayong crab mentality. Okay. Another is confront oppression critically. So when we say we are confronting oppression, lumalaban tayo sa oppressors. Lumalaban tayo sa mga taong nang aapi sa atin. Okay? Form female separatist network in the private and public sphere. So when we say separatist network, ito yung mga humihiwalay na tayo. As women, men and women, we are separating ourselves, or those who identify as women, we are separating ourselves from these other genders. Although counterintuitive to sa gustong mangyari ng feminism. When we say counterintuitive, medyo baligtad. Next is structural oppression. So last na to. Posit that women's oppression and inequality are a result of capitalism, patriarchy, and racism. Yan. So, ma'am, gets namin yung patriarchy. Bakit may capitalism dyan? There is a belief that some women or some feminists believe that the reason women are oppressed is because they make less money than men. In America, it is still a fact that women make 70 cents when a man can make $1. Or dito sa Pilipinas, 70 pesos lang yung kikitain ko, pero yung lalaki, ang kikitain niya, 100. So we make 30% less. Women in America sometimes make 30% less than their male counterparts for the same job, ha. So isa daw 'yun sa mga results ng feminism, sexism in capitalism. And racism, of course, a lot of men, although they say that they love women, they love women of they are not attracted, or they seem to be racist towards women of other races. So gusto lang nila yung kamukha or kakulay nila. Okay? So meron tayong types of feminism. First, we have liberal feminism. These feminists argue that gender inequality lies in the denial of rights to women in primarily the fields of education and employment. It holds individual choice as supreme. Okay, so sa liberal feminism, okay, tandaan po, dito sa type of feminism na to, we are primarily concerned, or we argue that ang inequality daw ay dahil hindi tayo binibigyan, denial, hindi tayo binibigyan ng rights sa education at sa employment. Kaya daw tayo unequal, kaya may inequality. Kasi syempre, if we do not educate women as much as we educate men, the women will stay uneducated. At kapag uneducated sila women, mas sobrang unequal nila sa lalaki. Okay? So another is it holds individual choice as supreme. We need to give women, according to liberal feminism, everyone needs to have a choice. Not just women, also men. Okay? Next is historically, under pa rin to ng liberal feminism, has fought for law changes in order to allow women to express their political freedom. Of course, ito yung mga suffragist movement. When we say suffragist movement, ito yung mga movement na nag-force or nag-give way para sa mga babae ngayon, para makaboto ang mga babae. Those are suffragists. Okay. Suffrage, by the way, is the right to vote. So ayan, liberal feminism fights for complete gender equality through social and political and legal means. Okay? So, dito po, complete gender equality. Hindi lang po sa babae, pati po sa lalaki. Radical feminism, ito yung pinag-uusapan natin, believes that society must be changed to dissolve the patriarchy. Ang problem po dito sa radical feminism, okay, society must be changed. But society is such a hard thing to change because a lot of people ingrained na kasi sa society natin ang maraming bagay. So it's hard to change society without having to first change people. Eh maraming tao na ayaw magpa-change. So yun isa sa mga problems ng radical feminism. Another wants to free both sexes from rigid gender roles that society has imposed on them. In radical feminism, they believe in the fluidity of gender. Hindi porket lalaki ka, ikaw lang ang bubuhay sa pamilya mo. Hindi porket babae ka, sa bahay ka lang. Hindi porket lalaki ka, kailangan masculine ka. Hindi porket babae ka, kailangan feminine ka. Okay, so the radical feminists believe that we need to be free from these gender roles. So don't change women, change the world. That's what radical feminists believe. Okay, to be able to practice radical feminism, we need to change the world. Next, radical libertarian feminism, a combination of the two previous types. So it believes that femininity and reproduction limit their capacity to contribute to the society. Wants women to step away from sexual norms and should control every aspect of their sexuality. Here in Radical, Ma'am Dana, although mahina po. Okay. Okay, sige. Noted ka muna. Okay. Believes femininity and reproduction limit their capacity to contribute to the society. So, ibig sabihin, kapag daw masyadong feminine at kapag okay, sorry for the term, pero may mga babae kasi na naniniwala na hindi lang may mga babae na naniniwala na kapag babaeng-babae sila, feminine, yung stereotypical babae, nagme-makeup, nagda-dress, ganyan-ganyan. They believe that it hinders o tinipigilan nila yung capacity nila para magkaroon ng contribution to society. At marami ring feminists under this theory or this type of feminism na naniniwala na hindi of course, totoo naman to, hindi lang sila pabrika ng bata. Okay? So, kapag nagkaanak sila, malilimit yung contributions nila sa society. So, yun yung paniniwala nitong radical libertarian feminism. Wants women to step away from sexual norms and should control every aspect of their sexuality. When we say sexual norms, these are, eto na, what is expected of a woman when it comes to sex? Okay, that is a sexual norm. Those are the sexual norms for women. Syempre, when it comes to sex is, I hope, okay, sige ka mo nak, Reyna May. Women, for a very long time, have been believed to just be the recipient of sex. Okay? Ito na, pumupunta na po tayo sa part na pinag-uusapan na natin ng sex as an act. Okay? For a very long time, women have been believed to just be the direct object or the recipient of sex instead of being an active participant in the act. And in radical libertarian feminism, tatanggalin natin yung thought na yon, that women can control who they are and their part in sex. Not just, di ba sabi ko sa inyo, ang hirap i-discuss nito, Christian school, my God. Feeling ko, Lola, kung nanonood ka, yun. So this is true, by the way. I hope everyone in this class knows that you are not men, women, boys, girls, that you are not just a direct object to sex. You are not just something that sex happens to. Okay? You need to be a active participant in sex. That is the belief of radical libertarian feminism. Okay? Whew. Nainit ba? Parang nainitan ako. Okay, so yan. For whatever we wear, wherever we go, yes means yes and no means no. This is an active campaign going on. This talks about consent. Another thing about this, okay, etong last na pinag-usapan natin, consent. When we say consent, pumapayag tayo dun sa gagawin sa atin or dun sa gagawin nyo together. That is consent. Okay? Kailangan meron daw enthusiastic consent. Kasi merong consent na napilit lang. Okay? Sige na nga kasi mahal naman kit ganon. I had a friend in high school, hindi siya ready physically and emotionally, pero dahil makikipag-break daw sa kanya yung boyfriend niya, kung hindi nila gagawin yon, pumayag siya. Although that is consent, that is not enthusiastic consent. That is what we call coerced or pinilit siya. So as much as possible, if we are going to do that with the right person at the right time when we are emotionally and physically ready, let's make sure that you are consenting enthusiastically or yes kung yes, okay? No, kung no, no. Huwag pipilitin. That goes for both boys and girls. Okay, gender equality tayo dito. Kung no, kung ayaw ni lalaki, ayaw ni lalaki. Kung ayaw ni babae, ayaw rin ni babae. Huwag po tayong mamilit. Okay? May masasaktan. Okay. So, tandaan, yes means yes and no means no. Ma'am, paano po kami makakuha ng consent? Parang ang awkward naman nun. Hindi yun awkward. Just ask them, would you like to perform this sexual act with me? That is the most awkward question. Okay. Basta, ask. If you get, pangit naman ng term. Siyempre, pag nandun na kayo sa moment na yon, gawin yung mas romantic yung term. Pero academic kasi, guys. Teacher ako sa setting na to. So yun, mag-ano kayo. Ask. Okay? Yes means yes, no means no. Kapag nag-no, wag pilitin. Kapag nag-yes, edi, kung parehas kayong consenting human people, go lang. Okay. Pero wag ngayon na, bata pa kayo. Radical cultural feminism. Radical cultural feminism believes that women should encompass their femininity because it is better than masculinity. Ito yung medyo mahirap, medyo problematic type of feminism. Why? Because hindi na po equality ang hinahanap natin. Hindi na equality, kundi gusto nito, femininity is better than masculinity. Mas mataas na daw po ang ni babae at kesa kay lalaki. So hindi na siya nag-a-adhere o hindi na siya nag-a-agree doon sa basic definition ng feminism. So medyo na siya, kabaligtaran or counterintuitive na siya sa gusto ni feminism. Pero under pa rin siya ng feminism because we are still focusing on femininity or women. So, ayan, radical cultural feminism also says that sex, subordination, porn, rape, and abuse must be eliminated. So, a lot of these things, so kahit mismo yung sex, whether it is consensual or not, kailangan daw tanggalin, subordination kailangan tanggalin, porn, of course, if you don't know what porn is, wag nyo pong isa-search sa Google, okay? Wag nyo pong isa-search sa Google kung hindi nyo alam kung ano ang porn. Rape and abuse must be eliminated. Okay? So, yan po ang paniniwala ng radical cultural feminism. Okay. So, sabi dito, when women use femininity and not feminism, they were respected, empowered, and valued. Okay, mali po yan. Okay? Hindi po femininity ang nagpapa-empower sa atin, kundi feminism. Hindi porket hindi ka feminine, hindi ka na babae. At boys, kung hindi porket hindi kayo masculine, hindi na kayo lalaki. Okay? So, femininity and masculinity have nothing to do with our sex or our gender or our sexuality. It is just our personality. And it happens just to be a part of us. Ganun po ang main thought ng feminism, that gender, sex, and sexuality do not have anything to do with us as a person. Yun po ay part lang ng kung sino tayo, pero hindi yun yung kabuuan natin. So I hope that you learn something about about the feminist theory, about masculinity, femininity. So, any questions? Patapos na. Any questions? Okay, no questions. If there are no questions, clarifications, violent reactions, I will go on to the announcements. First announcement, pakibasa Avriela.
Walang quiz.
With feelings.
Walang
Rachel.
quiz.
Okay, Rachel. Again, with feelings ha. Pakibasa po.
Walang quiz.
Walang quiz. O, Althea, pakibasa.
Walang quiz.
Walang quiz. Parang hindi kayo masaya na walang quiz. Magbibigay ba ako ng quiz? Gusto nyo ba? Kaya kong gumawa, agad-agad. Dami nating to-discuss, oh.
Hindi, ma'am.
Okay. Pakibasa nga with
Hindi na, ma'am.
feelings. O, Clarence, sige. Pakibasa with feelings.
Walang quiz!
Walang quiz. Okay, wala po tayong quiz. Pero, yung mga pero na yan eh. May activity. Siyempre, hindi tayo
Yun
nawawala ng
lang.
activity. Yun lang. Okay? Madali lang naman po ang activity. Don't worry. So, we have activity number 3. Create a poem with a minimum of 2 stanzas and 4 lines that promote the principles of feminism. Any type of feminism po, mga anak. Okay? Ma'am, ano po, Filipino, English, Taglish, whatever you want, basta hindi Spanish. Bakit? Kasi hindi ko po naiintindihan ang Spanish. Pag hindi ko naiintindihan, paano kayang gigradean? Okay? So, English, English, Filipino, Taglish, any
Ma'am, pwede
lang.
Korean.
Wag naman Korean, hindi ko rin yun naiintindihan. Yun lang ang yun lang ang tatlong choice nyo. Tagalog, Tagalog, English, Taglish. Okay? So, deadline of course is 1 week from now, October 5, 2020. Okay? Sana po clear yon. Ma'am, paano po namin gagawin? Pwede nyo isulat. Alam ko, di ba meron kayong yung iba sa inyo, mahilig magsulat, tapos lalagyan pa mga design. Pwede nyo po yung gawin. Or pwede niyo po siyang idiretso na lang sa Word sa Word, tapos i-send niyo po sa akin. Kayo po bahala. Creative writing po ito, be creative. Okay? Tapos may announcement po ako. Announcement. Due to the Research 2 title defenses on October 5 to 9, I will not be able to attend our class. Please watch the video lesson I will be sharing on our on our class stream, and make sure to watch it until the end. So yan po ang aking announcement. Wala po tayong online class next week, but I will be sending you a video lesson. Okay? Medyo mahirap po ang video lesson po natin ay about rational choice theory. So pakiintindi po, pakihinuha po kasi after that meron po tayong lesson about hermeneutical phenomena. Okay, so wag mo muna natin problemahin yon. So please, as much as possible, watch until the end. Kasi last time, ang daming hindi nanood hanggang dulo, kaya nalaman ko kung sino kasi meron po akong secret technique. May technique ako dyan kung paano ko nalalaman kung sino ang nanonood. Kasi may YouTube analytics. Nakikita ko yung average watch time ninyo. Okay? So maraming hindi nanonood hanggang dulo according to my YouTube analytics. So, speaking of YouTube, like, share, subscribe, just the JD. Salamat po. Yan. So if you have any questions, suggestions, clarifications, violent reactions, paki-raise na po sila ngayon. Okay? Any questions about our activity? about the announcement, about our lesson, about feminism. If you don't, wala na po? Okay. Kung wala na po, kung wala na pong clarifications, questions, suggestions, and violent reactions, that's all for today, class. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye!
Thank you, ma'am.